so someone, when they were coming into this morning, stopped me and said, "Tami, why Good Friday? Why Good Friday?" And I'm going to talk a little bit, and I'm going to tell the story of what happened today, a really, really sad story. And then maybe in the parish hall, we can talk about why you think today can be good, even though it's about a really sad, sad story. Okay? So things look really different today. Those of you who come into the church at other times during the year might notice that a lot of things are missing. There's no candles. There's no pretty cloths. There's no cushions on the benches. Everything's covered with black. And there's a great big empty cross here. And so I want to tell you the story about why that looks like this today. And as I said, it's a really sad story, but it's a really sad story that has a really, really happy ending. Have you ever heard a story like that? Every story has a happy ending, and that's what we want to remember today, because this story can make people feel really sad, but I want you to remember that it has a really happy ending. So Jesus had been doing his work for about 3 years. He was going around and teaching people and healing people and feeding people and doing wonderful, wonderful things. And it came time for him to come back to Jerusalem. And last Sunday we talked, if you were here, or we talked about this in Nursery School Chapel, there was a big parade for him going into Jerusalem. And people waved palm branches and said, "Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna." And everyone was so happy that Jesus was coming. But not everybody. There were some people who didn't like Jesus and didn't like the things that Jesus was doing. And we're not really sure why those people didn't like Jesus. We don't know, but they didn't. And they wanted him to stop doing the things he was doing. They wanted him to stop being kind to people and stop healing people and stop spreading a message to everyone. And so Jesus knew that these people were there, and they were there even at the Palm Sunday parade, and they were telling the disciples to tell everyone, be quiet, don't tell everybody about Jesus. And Jesus said, even if you make everyone get quiet, the stones will start to shout. And you're going to have a chance to make a shouting stone later. And everybody was excited about Jesus, or they were really unhappy that Jesus was here. So during the week, Jesus gathered his friends together because he knew that something bad was about to happen. And so he gathered his friends together for one last meal. And before he had that meal with them, he got down and he washed each of his friends' feet. Now that might sound like a really strange thing to do, but back then, people wore sandals or went barefoot when they were walking and their feet were very dirty. And so washing somebody's feet or having a way for them to wash their feet when they came into their house was a way of taking care of them, was a way of doing something special for them. But usually people would wash their own feet, or they might have a servant who would come and wash feet. So for Jesus to wash his friends' feet was a really special thing. And they were kind of confused. And he said to them, "Today I'm teaching you something new. I'm teaching you that you need to love each other and take care of each other and serve each other. And not just those people who you love and not just your friends, but everyone. And so that's why I washed your feet. And I want you to remember that. And I want you to remember my new rule, which is love one another." And then Jesus had a meal with his friends. And then at the end of it, he took bread and he blessed it. And he gave a piece to each of his friends and said, "Eat this. This is my body. Remember me." And then he took the cup of wine and he gave them each some wine to drink. And he said, "Take this and drink. And this is my blood. Remember me." And the disciples probably were a little confused because they said, "Why will we need to remember Jesus? He's right here with us. We're doing all these things together." But Jesus said, "Remember me." And then Jesus said, let's go out. We need to go out and pray together. And they went out into a garden and they prayed. And you know what? Jesus' disciples, his friends, they were pretty tired. And they actually fell asleep while Jesus was praying. And he woke them up and he said, come on, I'm praying. This is really important. I need you to be here with me. And so they kind of woke up, but they were tired and sleepy. And while they were there in the garden, soldiers came. And they arrested Jesus. They said, we don't like the things you're doing. Come with us. And at first, Jesus' friends tried to stop them, and Jesus said, no, it's okay. I'll go with them. And this is when the story starts to get really sad, because they took Jesus away, and they were very mean to him. They said, you've said that you're a king, so we're going to put a crown of thorns on your head. And that really hurt. And they made fun of Jesus. And they teased him. And all of his friends got really, really scared. Even though they loved Jesus, they saw what was happening to him, and they didn't want that to happen to him, so they ran away. And they went into hiding because they were afraid that if they tried to help Jesus, or if they said they believed what Jesus was saying, this would happen to them too. So Jesus was left alone. And then they took Jesus and they killed Jesus. And they put him on a cross, which is why we have a cross up in front of us. And he died, and they buried him into a big cave. And everybody thought the bad guys had won. Everybody thought that this was a really, really bad day, not a good day. And everyone was really sad. And that's part of what we remember today. But we know the end of the story too. And we know that Jesus came back. Jesus came back to be with his friends again. And that's what we celebrate on Easter. So when you come back on Easter Sunday, it's going to look really different here. And in fact, we're going to move this cross later this afternoon, about 3 o'clock. We're going to move it outside. And we're going to sing the song that we just sang around the cross. And we're going to leave it there to remind people about this day when everybody thought bad won. And then when you come back on Easter Sunday, this cross is going to look really different because there's going to be flowers on it. And there's going to be things on it that we remember and remind us that although a really, really bad thing happened on this cross, it's actually a really, really good reminder that bad didn't win. Good won. God won. Okay? So it's a day to be sad, but it's also a day to be happy and to remember that God won. I'll take questions in the parish hall. We're going to have lots of time together in the parish hall, and you can come and find me if you still have questions, and we would love to talk about that.